Welcome to the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. I'm your host, Tay Daniels, wife, mama of two girls, multi-business owner, iced coffee connoisseur, and your official bad bitch mentor. Get ready to transform your boring business into a money-making machine by learning how to just be better at being you. No more playing by the rules. It's time to hone in on your gifts, turn up your energy, and make some serious cash. So grab your coffee, your headphones, or just cover your child's ears, and let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Energy Podcast. Today I am interviewing Genieva, and I am very excited to talk about PR. I don't talk a lot about PR, and I don't even know if we've had a guest talk about PR. Maybe I think one, but I'm very excited to have you in today to share with all of our people all of your knowledge, because this is just not my area. So I'm excited to bring in someone who knows this area well. Welcome in.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat all things PR.
Me too. Okay, let's dive in. Tell us everything. Tell me your life story. Tell me your journey. How did you get started? Tell me all the things.
Yeah, so I got started in PR, I like to say really honestly, back when I was like a kid. I quickly figured out that no one was going to be able to pay for college for me. And it became like, okay, well, then what do I do? And I found this book called How to Go to College for Free. And it was basically like, pitch yourself to all these random places in your city, find these scholarships, just all this stuff. And so I would pitch myself from like sixth grade on, just like pitching to these random things. And I was getting a lot of no's, but I was also getting some yeses. And it would be for like $200, whatever. And so my PR journey it really was like a kid sort of thing. My first car I bought when I was 12 years old because my neighbor, his wife was sick. He was trying to get rid of stuff. I heard him talking to my parents that he needed to get rid of the car. So I was like, I will buy it for you. I have $1,000 saved from birthday money. Amazing. He gave it to me. That was my car for like 10 years.
Oh my
So
gosh.
just like always this, I guess, personality of it never hurts to ask. It never hurts to get a no. It's not a bad thing. And sometimes you're going to get a yes. So that was kind of like the beginning of the journey. That went into my first career was I taught for 10 years, elementary and high school. And inside of there, I pitched a role that I thought we really needed in the school. And they were like, yes, you're totally right. Take over the role and go. And I did that. So then when COVID hit, I was not a mom yet. And so I was bored and as a teacher. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a business. That would be so fun. And so I started actually as a virtual assistant, just
Wow.
doing all of the things. And I had one client who was like, I really want to be featured. And to anyone who started as a virtual assistant, you just say yes to everything. You're like, I'll figure it out. It'll be fine, right? And so I quickly started learning and trying things and pitching and figuring it out. And I think within the first 2 months, I had landed her in BBC and New York Post print, and was really just realizing that I was good at this and seeing that I had been all my life, and really pivoted into that being my expertise and my niche. And yeah, so then I had a daughter that year as well, and now I'm a mom and I am a publicist as well.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Congratulations on all of that. That is incredible. And yes, I started out also as a virtual assistant. And so I definitely know that world of like taking on all the things no matter what, and how incredible. And now you have a daughter. I also have two daughters. We have so much in common. I'm so excited to get deeper into all of the things, because I think there's a lot of people who think that for PR, it's either for someone at a certain level, or maybe you have to pay for it, or will it actually do something for my career? So I would love for you to share more about moms, coaches, online service providers, or business owners in general in the online space. Maybe they're under six figures. Maybe they're just hitting maybe their first 50K, if that. Should they look into PR? And if so, where should they start?
Yes. So the short answer at first is yes, PR is a powerful tool for those without a following, even those who are under the six-figure mark. I have a current client who is under now 300 followers. When they started, they were under 200 followers and has had a lot of success being in women's health, being in mind, body, green, a lot of different areas. So I want to say that first, that people know like this is not just for those that are at that 10K plus mark or whatever it may be, right? That we often hear about or see. This is a service to all that is a powerful tool for you to use. And the reason that I'll first start with why is it's an SEO builder. And there's a challenge I just did for myself of rewriting your Google search. So making sure that when people Google search your name, the right things come up. When I Google searched my name, there was like stuff from teaching, stuff when I was a VA and did like podcasts on other things, right? My Google search was not showcasing what I wanted it to. And so for coaches, whether you're at the less followers or under six figures, that's still an important thing that you want to do. So building the SEO is so amazing. Also, the other part is these features continue to work for you even after they've come out. For example, we had a women's health piece come out for a client last week. This morning, I realized it had been republished onto AOL, AOL UK, Yahoo UK. So these pieces get picked up and then they multiply and they're kind of branching out to even more places. With Yahoo UK, we're now in front of an international audience, if you're based in the US, obviously, or vice versa. And so it's just a powerful tool to be able to expand your reach. When people search your name, is it just you and your website saying that you're good at what you do and you're the expert? Or are there other people saying they believe you're the expert too? We don't want just our client testimonials speaking for us. We want more voices speaking that are kind of household names that we know of, right?
Absolutely. That's what I was writing down as you were talking, is the credibility piece and the authority piece. I know so many coaches in the industry are trying to build up that credibility and authority and like, who am I to say something, right? Like that whole imposter syndrome. And I feel like this is just one of those marks of like proof to yourself even, and then proof to the world that you are good at what you do and you are unique and you are special. So I guess that would take me to my next question, which is, how would someone get started? Like if you're just getting into PR, you're just learning about it, can you expect to get into Forbes? Could you expect to get into Yahoo or on the Today Show? Or is that something that's like at a certain level you get there?
The answer is you can definitely get in there. And I have clients do it all the time. They're coming to me with no past PR roster or resume, and we are landing them in these items. I had a client that we were on month 2 and we've already been an entrepreneur, right? And so it is not something that is out of reach. You do need to make sure that you are being a good pitcher, right?
Yes.
So when we're talking about podcast pitching, we want to make sure that we are knowing exactly topics that will serve that audience. I receive pitches a lot from my clients that have a bigger podcast and want guests, and it's just all about them, these pitches. And I'm
Yep.
like, that's so cool. And I want a piece about you, but I also want to know, do you understand my client's audience and how are you going to serve them? Because really, why would I bring you into my audience or my clients in that case
Yep.
if you're not serving them or you don't understand what they need, right?
Exactly.
And so you just want to make sure that you know what to look for in this pitching element. So that's the podcast side, is having good pitches. And I have a freebie on how to have those good pitches and things like that we can leave in the show notes that they can use. And we can talk more about that too, of course. And then on the press side, a lot of people don't realize this, but there is cold press pitching and then there is warm press pitching, right? There's cold press pitching where the writer isn't looking for that right now. They didn't ask for it, but you're going to pitch it and say like, hey, this would be a good idea for you. And then there's warm press pitching where there are all these places that these writers post. I need a writer about X, Y, and Z, or I need a comment from an expert in X, Y, and Z. And that is a good way for those of you that are under a six-figure mark, aren't ready to maybe hire a full-blown publicist, but want to figure it out yourself and
Yeah.
for your team. That is an incredible place to start because they are looking, they are hungry, and the beauty is they begin to know you as their expert, so they stop posting and they just email you and they say,
Yes.
hey, can you help me again with this, right? And so
Yeah.
you become the known expert.
Yeah, that happened to me with Thrive Global. They had put out a piece. It was back in I think 2021, and they were looking for someone. And I had wrote in, and they published me. And then now I get stuff from them all the time of like, "Hey, we're writing another piece. Do you want to do it?" And now I got picked up by Medium Digest and Authority Magazine and all the other ones too. So it's really awesome how that works. But I was very new to that world back then, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." And I actually even had someone from Forbes reach out and ask for a piece. It ended up not working out. And I even moving forward was like still offering things, but he was in a different direction. And I was like, come on, let me
Yes,
in.
and there are so many different types of these. Some of them are paid platforms, and
Yep.
some of them are free platforms, and they're varying, but there's a lot of them that, even each day with my clients, I'm scrubbing them daily to make sure that is there anything in there that they can go. So there's a lot of different types, and yes, the question's always like, yeah, but I bet you there's not like Forbes or anything legitimate in there. There is. There's
Yep.
Forbes, Entrepreneur. You mentioned Women's Health. Um, there is New York Times, Business Insider, so many things, Bustle, whatever it may be. So even if you are a coach that is in the wellness industry, right, there's a lot of things there, business industry, whatever it might be,
Yep.
there's a lot on those platforms. And I think that's a good place for you to start to get good at pitching, to understand how it works, of like how quick they work, what they need in response, how all that is, and to start putting your name out there that writers begin to know you. And like you mentioned, start coming to you.
Yeah, I love that. I also want to go back to, you said that in the beginning, lots and lots of pitching and lots of no's. And I think for everyone listening, it's really good even to start building your resilience with the word no, because if you can build it with pitches, like for podcasts, and you can build it for pitches for press, it will get easier to sell your offers because you'll be so used to hearing no and also getting yeses the more no's you get, that then it becomes more normalized and it becomes easier to sell your offers and it becomes easier to offer your offers to people. But I think this is just one of those other like pieces of just building up that resilience as you are building through your network and building your business. So I love that you talked on that, just because I think that so many people are so worried about hearing no. We're like, oh my God, like what will they say? But it's not a big deal. Like they get thousands, I'm sure, pitches all the time. It's not the end of the world, but it builds up your resilience. So if anything, I always tell my people, like, go find more no's. The more no's you get, the more yeses you're bound to see.
And you're getting the data. Like if they're saying no or you got a no answer, then you're going back, you're relooking at your pitch, you're relooking at your topics, you're relooking at your bio. Did I speak to their audience enough?
Yeah.
Is the pitch too much about me? Am I like not using their name or not incorporating that? What could it be that I'm getting? Am I getting a lot of no's where it's always a no, or is it just some? And I kind of let it slide off my back and we look at it and I still like my pitch, whatever it might be. Even publicists are getting no's. And to me, I even mark it in my chart, not yet. I don't even mark it as a no, not
Yeah.
yet. Not yet, right?
Yeah.
Because it could always be a new spin, a new angle, a new way, a new current event that you're like, oh, I can come in and speak on that. And then now it's a yes.
Yeah, 100%. I also love that you talked about when you're pitching, how it needs to be collaborative. I think so many people are missing this piece of like, being on someone else's podcast is not about you. It's not specifically for you. It is a two-way street. It's about the host, it's about you, and it's about the community. It's about everyone involved. So it's, how am I an asset to your community and an asset to you as the owner of the podcast or whatever you're doing? I think so many people are missing the mark because people are running off ego, which again goes back to building resilience on no. It's like, are you running your business out of your ego?
Mhm.
Or are you building your business to truly make some kind of impact? And if we're looking at impact, we need to be looking at like, how do I collaborate in a way where everyone gets something from what I'm bringing to the table? And for me, I feel like if you are running on ego, I think obviously you have to check that at the door. But if you really want to make impact, which is also going to serve your ego, that's the best way to go about it, right? So I love that you brought that up too, because I think that with collaborations, it's just, it kind of misses the mark. Like I see people going into like, oh my God, we're only going to collab and there's no way to talk about offers and there's no way to sell, or we're only going in and strong selling and we're missing the mark there too. So it's like, how do we incorporate all of it into one?
Exactly. And I think that there's this mindset of like, oh yeah, you go on a bunch of podcasts and that's the thing. And it's like you need to remember though that when you want to go on this podcast, it's their baby. They've built it. This audience trusts them.
Yeah.
And so they're letting you in to kind of open up the doors to hold their baby a little bit. And so you want to show like, I'm safe, I understand it. I don't need to come in and directly pitch my services. I can just talk and share my Instagram even. If they're like, go ahead and pitch your services, that's great. But
Yeah.
really respecting the boundary and letting your expertise shine through, right? You're all coaches. Like come in, show that through the conversation, and
Yeah.
that's going to be infectious. They're going to be like, I have to know more about this person, whether or not
Exactly.
you can even pitch. So don't always come in of like, I need a pitch. Oh, they're not going to let me pitch. Ugh, that's, it's like
Yeah.
respect the baby that they have built.
Oh my God, I love this because this is what I do. And then it's also what I teach, which is sharing your energy, sharing your story, sharing your vibe. Like your brand should be all about that, like the energy, the vibe. Plus, on top of that, it's okay, what are the testimonials? What are the results that you're getting other people, right? But at the forefront, it's people immediately connect with your story, your energy, your vibe, the way that you show up. So when I go on other people's podcasts, I don't have to talk about really even anything I do if I bring my energy and I bring my story. I have people from this day they were like, oh my God, I heard you were on so-and-so's podcast. Like that was like 4 years ago. They're like, I love your story. Like I connect with you. I'm a mom. I used to be a single mom. Like, and we just start connecting off of my story. They didn't even need to know what I'm doing. And now they're on my social and now they're asking questions and they're like, oh my God, I love what you do. Right. So I completely agree. But I think a lot of people are thinking, with coaching, they're thinking of it as like, what am I selling? What am I offering? Like, you're building a personal brand. This is where it starts right here with you, who you are. And I think people are kind of in that phase of like understanding they have to get a little more vulnerable, and that's scary. And then people are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be known on social media. Like, well, maybe this isn't the industry for you.
And your story is what people, like you mentioned, connect to and remember. And so that story needs to come in. And as you're sharing your story and your piece, and you can think about your story prior, what elements do you want to pull in that connects to your expertise, right? I could have told you in my story in the beginning, right, as a sample, I could have told you more about how I've lived on a sailboat for 7 years. And that's a cool element. That's
Yeah.
great. I love that. Or I can, if I know you really want to focus in on pitching, I can focus in more of my story around that to see how I can tailor and switch it.
Yep.
That's something that, those who are listening, you can think about, but also not pulling too much away, because when I do share my sailing story, people remember me a lot more because they're like, oh, that's the girl that runs, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
Can choose the way I want to do it and what the host has said they want their focus to be. So you can really play with your story that way
Mhm.
and tailor it. You can still kind of have that control and direction of the conversation while making sure you're serving and not just pitching and whatever it may be.
Yeah. Oh my God, so good. I love this. I feel like we could talk all day on this, like even just the story and the personal brand piece, because it's such a big component of literally everything you do in your online space. So my next question for you is, do you think people should pay to get in press pieces, articles, letters, magazines, on TV? And I guess I have a follow-up to this too. It's like, at what point do you say, like, maybe you should start not paying at first? Like, is there a line? Is there like a line in the sand that says it? Yes, you should spend money on this, and no, you shouldn't.
Yeah. This is really interesting because this came up on a sales call last week that I had, and she asked, okay, if I sign with your retainer, do I pay additional amounts
Mhm.
when there are ones, that have a fee? And I will say that I pride myself in the fact that I don't do fee paid items. And the only thing that I do fee paid is when we're applying for awards like Entreprenista 100 or Success, there is an application fee. So that's the only thing. I never make my clients pay for that, just to say that. But so I am personally from the stance of we don't pay extra, we pitch better. We show
Ooh.
why we are the ones
I like
that whoever it is we're pitching, we are the ones needed for this. I'm not going to pay extra when
that.
I know that there are writers looking for those with really good ideas, really good, interviews and resources and things like that, that additional payment is basically like you paying to play is what I call it, and what a lot of us call it in the press world, which is okay if that's what you want to do. I personally come from the belief of we pitch better, right? We
Oh
get
my God, I'm obsessed. I'm so obsessed with this because I have had it on my goal list for, I don't know, 5 years, maybe more, to be in Forbes. And I have been
Mhm.
pitched over and over and over and over and over again to be in Forbes, but you have to pay. And I refuse. I'm like, I will get my ass in Forbes, but I'm not paying. I will do whatever it takes to get in there, but I will not pay to get in there. Like, that's just not it. So if you see me in Forbes, just know I did not pay to get in there because I refuse. I'm like, no, I'm going to earn my fucking spot in Forbes. Watch me.
I have one client, DL, she was in Forbes 4 times and we never paid. All of my features have never been paid. So if you've ever looked at them, entrepreneur, like I said, we have a Business Insider full
Mhm.
page spread of a client where they came to her home and did a full photo shoot, not paid, right? And so we pitch better. We get better at it. We collect the data. We
Mhm.
see what does the industry need? What are the current events for this specific piece? It was about her being the breadwinner of her family as a coach. And they came in and they did a full interview. And this is something I think it was Amy Porterfield for their series also was in. Like we just pitched well, right? And
Yeah.
so usually you would think a photographer is coming to her home, you had to have paid for that. No, we just pitch well,
Yeah.
right? So I
Exactly.
don't have a lot about the like, should you stop paying? Because I just believe we don't
Yeah.
pay.
I love that. Okay. So let's go to you. Now, I want to talk about your services, what you do, what you offer, who is it for, and what results can they expect from working with you?
Yes. So I have my done for you side and more of my DIY side. So helping guide you and your team to get started. So we'll start with the done for you. And that would be, if you're ready to hire on a publicist. And on that regard, I'm on retainer and I am custom pitching areas, of course, podcast, press, and if you're ready, speaking, as well as awards, grants. I have clients that we're pitching to build out her affiliate program because that's a huge piece. If you have a podcast and we want to pitch guests, right? So there's also like these custom areas that we work into your strategy. And I'm handling the booking, I'm handling when the pieces come out, making sure you have the right assets to share and the strategy and putting it on your site and making sure that we have a full strategy of what that's going to look like for you. So that is the done for you side, having that all taken care of as well as tapping into, my network and things like that.
Mhm.
And then on the DIY side, I have my program Pocket Publicist, which is helping teach those who maybe not are not ready to go into a 6-month retainer with a publicist, but them and their team or them by themselves want to learn how to do the warm press pitching. I don't cover cold because I want you to get good first at warm,
Yeah.
as well as podcast pitching. And so
Mhm.
that goes through all the platforms and how to use them, how to set yourself up, what makes those good pitches, as well as you have a community to get feedback on your pitching or your topics.
Yeah.
And with that, you can get just the course or you can get the like a VIP day where I set up all your topics and your bios for you and get that set. And then you get access to Pocket Publicist to continue that on and carry out with your team.
Ah, I love it. Incredible. It's so good. Okay. One last question for you, and then I want you to share your amazing freebie with our community. We ask all of our guests this. If you were going to write a book, what would it be about?
Yes. So if I were to write a book, I would honestly, I keep thinking back to that book, How to Go to College for Free. And there's so much more to things that I pitched as a little kid up that I would love to just share in a book, all the different areas, not necessarily around business and things like that, but all the areas that I've pitched over the years and things came together and I got yeses and the incredible things that I've gotten to do in life and be able to see and to just encourage people that we pitch well and here are the things I pitched and here's what you can do. Now go and just ask and don't be afraid of the no's or the rejection or the ego side like you mentioned um, because you're going to get them. And so let's just ask.
I love it. It's so good. I would definitely read that book. It's like all about just like asking for all the things you want in life. And the worst that can happen is you get a not yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love it. Okay, share with everyone your freebie. We're gonna have it linked below as well as her services, her social media. You can go check her out. But I want you to tell everybody listening about this awesome freebie you've provided for everyone listening.
Yeah, in my freebie, it is a beginner's guide to starting to set yourself up to get features today. Inside of there, you'll see kind of my examples of good versus not so good pitching, what's going to get you left on red. I tell you kind of the steps you need to take. And it is kind of like a precursor to that pocket publicist idea, really giving you that big picture of like, okay, I need to follow these steps. I need to make sure I have these areas and what a good pitch looks like versus not. All of those things that you can really learn and start to see. And you'll find that at genevablissmedia.com/freebie. And then you can find me on social media on Instagram at Geneva Bliss Media as well. And that's my website as well, genevablissmedia.com.
Perfect. Everything will be listed below in the show notes. You can go check her out, grab the freebie, check out our services. And thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, it was amazing. I had a lot of fun.
Me too.